Welcome back, everybody, to the 423 Football Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Bouchard, joined here as always by Brett Hamilton.
Hello.
And we are back again, wrapping up our NFL 2018 draft prospects list. This time, talking tight ends, everybody's favorite position, the big uglies in the middle of the field. Tight ends today. We'll go through a bit of news, and then we'll start talking about our prospects from the tight end position. So, this will be our last show for the prospects, and then next week we'll start talking mock drafts and really starting to creep up on the NFL draft. So we're going to get that underway and everything. Also, if you haven't heard already, we started our giveaway last week. We're giving away a Leveon Bell signed jersey. All you have to do is go on Twitter, give us a follow at the 423 Football, and retweet the giveaway tweet, which, if you're having trouble finding it, it's pinned to the top of our Twitter account. So really easy to find. You just got to follow and retweet. Get as many people as you can following us, because the more we have, the more giveaways we can do, and it's just more fun for everybody. So, Jumping into the news real quick, mainly a few things that have happened throughout the week. And again, if you follow us at the 423 Football, you've probably seen most of this already. First major thing, Patriots trade Brandin Cooks and a fourth rounder to the Rams for the Rams' 23rd pick. Sorry, I butchered that. Brandin Cooks and a fourth rounder for the Rams' 23rd overall pick and a sixth rounder. So Brandin Cooks is going to be a Ram now.
Just like everyone else in the NFL.
Rams are scooping up everybody, but I don't know. I don't really like it from any standpoint other than the Patriots, because I think the Patriots, obviously, I think they paid a little too much for him last year. I think they got a ton for him this year. I think the Rams way overpaid. I don't really see Brandin Cooks doing much more than what Sammy Watkins did last year, honestly. Brandin Cooks is maybe a little more of a threat between the 20s. Sammy Watkins was a little more of a red zone threat just because of the size. Yeah. But I don't know. You tell me. What do you make of this trade from just a Brandin Cooks perspective? Because from the Patriots perspective, I absolutely love it.
Yeah. The Rams, they're just getting everybody.
They are talking win now in a big way.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to justify, bringing in Brandin Cooks along with the wide receivers that they already have. I don't really know where he's going to fit into that offense. I guess they are looking for, what Sammy Watkins could have been or should have been. But I think it'll be, it's another weapon for Jared Goff to throw to. He is explosive. I don't think he's worth what they paid for him.
No. Now there's obviously Sammy Watkins is gone there, but now we got Brandin Cooks, we got Robert Woods, we have Cooper Kupp. Honestly, I'm not 100% sold on putting Brandin Cooks at the top of that list.
No.
In terms of fantasy. Drafting him in fantasy, I know
he will go first.
Yeah, he will. He will for a fact go first. Yeah. People are going to hype him, or analysts are going to hype him up left and right. But I don't really. This is easily the worst situation Brandin Cooks has been in. He was with Breeze for a couple years. He was with Brady. Now he's with Jared Goff. And I'm not saying Goff is bad. I'm not saying the Rams' offense is bad. It's just it's not. You know what the Rams' offense is going to be. They're going to use Gurley a ton, and then the receivers are going to be just like an appendage of that. And it's not going to be that formidable for Brandin Cooks.
I don't think so either.
Yeah,
I just don't think he's not going to get the target share that he's going to need to produce fantasy value.
I mean, I understand it seeing that the Rams maybe just putting him on the field and taking defenders away, because doing that alone and then having Todd Gurley, that's phenomenal for Gurley and open up holes in the run game. But anyway, from the Patriots side of the ball, that they get a ton of picks. Obviously, they have two first-round picks now. A lot of people were talking about Odell Beckham being traded to the Patriots for the picks. They're talking about Patriots moving up and possibly taking a quarterback. We got things going around like crazy. What do you make of all the Patriots' plans with these picks that they've received?
Oh, I mean, I think that they're going to go for one of the top QBs. I don't think they're interested in Odell Beckham. Well, I mean, everyone's interested in Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. I think that's pretty low odds. They could try to turn their picks and try to trade up and get one of the top 3 QBs. I'm not sure who they would trade with, but I think that's most likely.
Yeah, I mean,
because, they had to get rid of Garoppolo last year. Didn't want to. They don't have a backup to Tom Brady. Tom Brady's not getting any younger. They have to prepare for the future at this point.
Yeah,
and I don't think they're going to do that in free agency. So I think they're going to bring in a young QB to learn underneath Tom Brady while he's still there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Again, we'll have our mock drafts next week. We're going to be thinking about that the entire week, working on those and trying to really plan out what all these teams are going to be doing, especially with all these high-level quarterbacks. Sticking with the Patriots also go and sign Jordan Matthews to a 1-year deal. I really, really like the idea of Jordan Matthews on the Patriots. I don't really like how it's going to fit at the moment because Julian Edelman's obviously the slot guy.
Yeah.
Chris Hogan, not really the slot guy, but he has played there quite a bit. Jordan Matthews, if they try to put him on the outside, I don't think it's going to be pretty. I don't think it's going to work at all.
No, I'm not really excited about this trade. I'm not a big believer in Jordan Matthews to begin with.
Yeah, you've said that multiple times.
Yes.
I still have faith. I still have faith in the guy.
Then that's fine. I understand. I'm not saying that he's just trash or anything, but I'm not hyped up on him. And going to the Patriots, obviously he gets a better quarterback. But I just don't like how it's going to mesh with the offense. They're going to do whatever they need to do to make it work. But I just don't see him being a huge threat on that offense.
Yeah. Richard Rodgers signs with the Eagles. I was hoping he'd stay with the Packers. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But this feels I wouldn't say a major hole for the Eagles, but it feels a need because they use the tight ends a lot. And Trey Burton's gone, so Ertz and Richard Rodgers. Richard Rodgers is an incredible option at a backup. I mean, the guy, someone that's sure-handed, who's pretty good at blocking, and that can be reliable if something were to happen to Ertz or say maybe even one of their slot guys. Like Richard Rodgers, I think that's a great signing for the Eagles. Saints go out and steal Cameron Meredith away from the Bears. He was a restricted free agent, so they get Cameron Meredith. Obviously, the Bears they get Allen Robinson. So Cameron Meredith is now on the Saints, and I'm trying to think of what or where he's going to be on the depth chart because they have a lot of guys they seem to like. Obviously, Michael Thomas being the number one.
Yep.
But I can see Cameron Meredith being the second option. And I think that could be.
I think this is a great place for Cameron Meredith to end up.
Yeah, Cameron Meredith has looked pretty good in Chicago with a bunch of terrible quarterbacks. So you give him Drew Brees, I think it's great. Now he's coming off the ACL injury, so that might be a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, that's true.
But if all goes well there with the knee and everything, I think Cameron Meredith. I think he could be a pretty good steal in most fantasy drafts because I don't think he's going to go very high.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, you want to take it away with the tight ends?
Yep. We are wrapping up our top 10 list for the NFL draft prospects with tight ends. First of all, before we get into the list, what are some teams that you think should be looking for a tight end?
Well, usually tight ends, there's not that many selected in the draft. There's usually maybe 10, maybe a few more than that, around what like QBs are drafted.
Yeah.
And there's really, right now, I don't think there's that many teams looking for tight ends because usually you roster maybe 3 to 4, and some teams are really, really locked in on their tight ends right now. Yep.
But some people are really, really not.
So some have really gaping holes.
Yeah.
I have the Ravens written down. Obviously, Ben Watson is gone. They've never really had Crockett Gilmore or Max Williams be that reliable. Seahawks have lost all of their tight ends. So we got the Falcons also. Levi Toilolo is gone. Austin Hooper. I can't remember. Is he still with the Falcons? Austin Hooper?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I don't know why. I thought
they got rid of Toilolo.
Yeah, I thought I remembered him signing with the Jets, but that I don't know where my mind is right now. But anyway, Falcons are going to be looking for him. Broncos definitely need a tight end. They don't have anyone now. Virgil Green's in San Diego or L.A. Sorry. Good Lord, I can't really. I'm struggling right now. Dolphins looking for a tight end. Julius Thomas.
Yeah, I was about to say the Dolphins are really strapped at that position.
Yeah, Dolphins definitely need a tight end. Texans. I think they had all three of their tight ends on IR last year. So that's a big problem when it comes to keeping tight ends healthy. And then I wrote down the Packers just because Richard Rodgers is gone.
Backup.
Yeah, they need someone else. They had Justin Perillo, but he's not going to be much help, I should say, in that offense unless Jimmy Graham was to go down, and then he'd be obviously the guy. But I don't see him being a solid option. But anyway.
Did you already say the Lions, or did they get someone? I'm trying to remember.
Lions got Toilolo.
Yeah.
They got rid of Ebron, though.
That's what I was saying.
But I really don't think... I mean, I guess the Lions could be in the market for one, but...
they don't really use the tight ends that much.
No, they haven't really...
they might bring in a young guy, but...
Nah.
Nah.
Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah. So that's the teams that we think need a tight end. Obviously, there's going to be some teams trying to build up depth there. A lot of teams don't have an immediate need for tight ends, but some will be drafted. And so, topping off the list at number 1 is Dallas Goedert.
You keep screwing with the names.
Yeah, I know. It's that's my...
Goddard, like the dog from Jimmy Neutron.
I was trying to think where that name sounded familiar. Yeah.
Anybody? Dallas Goedert?
Yeah, okay. All right, so the dog from Jimmy Neutron, also from South Dakota State. He's 6'4", 260, hand size of 10.13.
And he's the only one. He's literally the only one I put the hand size on because that's quarterback monster South Dakota tough. It may not be as tough as North Dakota, but South Dakota,
no,
they're up there.
Yeah, he couldn't handle North Dakota, so he had to go a little bit further south, but not too much further. He's got basketball-sized hands. He ran a 40 time of 4.73, which is not exactly blazing, but
for a tight end, that's fine. That's one of the faster ones.
Yeah, for a tight end, that's a solid 40 time. From college, he's... I just completely lost my place.
Oh well. Back to my notes.
Crashed.
Yeah, whatever. By far, Dallas Goedert I think has been the most productive offensive weapon from the tight end position in college football. But that again, college game. You're talking about playing in South Dakota State. It may not be the best competition, but if you watch tape on Dallas Goedert, he manhandles people at the point of the catch. Just absolutely overpowers them. It's not even close in that regard. In 2016, the guy had 92 receptions, 1,293 yards, and 11 touchdowns. 2017 comes back with 72 receptions, over 1,000 yards, and 7 touchdowns. A little bit down, but just how he plays the game is just dominance. That's the word I see. He's not the greatest route runner, I will say. He does a lot of seam routes mainly, that's fine for tight ends. That's really what you want. But he has incredible body control. Sideline awareness is good when they line him up on the outside. Phenomenal at high pointing the ball. That's what I can't get enough of, is just him going up with contested catches and bringing down the football. And the body control, a lot of the times when he's going up for contested catches, he doesn't go to the ground. He stays on his feet, and he continues the process, and obviously that can lead to more yards and even touchdowns. So Dallas Goedert, if there was one guy I think is up to the talent of last year's tight ends, that class, I think it's Dallas Goedert. I think he's just a phenomenal athlete, and we said the 4.73 40 time, maybe not that fast, but they're tight ends. It just depends on how they play the game.
Yeah.
Most tight ends in the NFL aren't going out there and running 4.5s, but 4.73 is very respectable at that height. So I got Dallas Goedert compared to Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, big guy, maybe not the greatest route runner, but he manhandles people. He can really take over a game just over the middle of the field and take so much away from just what defenders have to focus on. So Dallas Goedert, man, I got nothing but I have a lot of expectations for Dallas Goedert when it comes to the NFL.
Yeah, and he was the clear number one for, I think, both of our top 10s. I don't think it was even a question of who I would put at number one. Yeah, I like the Travis Kelce comparison because, one of the things Kelce is so good at is going up for those contested catches and coming down with it, in the midst of all the defenders that are trying to tackle him. That's something that's really, really impressive. So, Dallas Goedert. The dog from Jimmy
Neutron. Yes. All right, moving on. Away from Jimmy Neutron. Number 2 on our list, Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst from South Carolina. Coming in at 6'4", 250 pounds. Ran a 4.67 40. A little faster than Goddard. But he's one of the older tight ends in this draft class. He'll be 25 his rookie year.
That makes me feel better. He's older than me.
Yeah, he is. He played minor league ball with the Pittsburgh Pirates, so that's why he's a little bit older. He didn't really get into his college game until later. Didn't really fill the stat sheet being in a mediocre South Carolina offense. So that accompanied with bad quarterback play and playing tough defenses. And Patrick Reed just won the Masters.
Oh, wow.
Behind us. Wow. I was hoping for Spieth or Ricky, but Patrick Reed just...
I'm really not into what his wife is wearing.
What? She looks like a watermelon.
I know.
What's wrong with that? But anyway...
A little too loud for me.
Back to this. Congrats, Patrick Reed, if you've been watching the Masters. I did actually, speaking of, we did do I tweeted out a little caveat to our giveaway. I said if whoever guessed the champion and the predicted score, the correct score of the champion, would get a second entry into our giveaway.
Oh.
Unfortunately, we only had one person guess. They guessed Rory at -8. That didn't happen.
That did not happen. What did he finish at?
Patrick Reed finished at -15. So, yeah, but anyway, maybe we'll do another chance at a double entry into our giveaway. So just keep paying attention to that at the 43 Football. So back to where we were, talking about Hayden Hurst. Talking about how he really didn't fill the stat sheet. He was playing tough defenses in the SEC. Didn't have that great a quarterback play. A lot of sources say that Hurst is the only tight end up to the caliber of last year's class. I think Goddard is the only one I really see as that. But Hayden Hurst, he's close. Not quite to what I think Goddard can be, but Hayden Hurst, I think, can be I wouldn't say integral part of an offense, but a very, beneficial part of an offense. So I have him compared to, now the player I have him compared to is it might be a little bit of an upside pick, but I have him compared to Greg Olsen.
No, that would be an upside.
Yeah, I mean that if he ends up like that, and I think he can with some work and in the right situation. And obviously Greg Olsen really wasn't as dominant as what we've seen with him at the Panthers as he was when he was with the Bears. But Hayden Hurst, I think he could end up kind of in the path that Greg Olsen has been on. Started kind of slow in the NFL, comes in a big way, just a reliable guy, just a guy with good hands. He going to play in this league for a long time. Doesn't really have that many injury concerns. Hayden Hurst, I think, could be a very, very good option for a quarterback, say, like maybe Deshaun Watson, if the Texans go and grab him. Just a guy we know who's hopefully, crossing our fingers, is a good quarterback in the league and will have some longevity from that position.
Yep. Yeah, I like that comparison. Coming in at number 3, a guy I like a little bit more than Hayden Hurst. I think we had those flip-flopped.
We did.
For the most part, we have pretty consistent rankings. Talking about Mark Andrews from Oklahoma. He is a boomer sooner. He's 6'5", 256. And he ran a 40 time of 4.67, so exactly the same as Hayden Hurst. He's just a little bit bigger, a little bit taller. Which a 4.67 is pretty good for that size. I mean, and especially for a tight end. The Oklahoma offense, as we know, was good this past year. So
good's an understatement.
Yeah. So in the same way that you kind of give Hayden Hurst the benefit of the doubt because he was in the SEC and playing against a lot of top tier defenses, you kind of have to, for lack of a better term, nerf Mark Andrews for having a better stat sheet and better offense against poor defenses. The two kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, better stat sheet than a lot of these guys like Hayden Hurst, for example.
This past year, he had 62 receptions for almost 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. So that is definitely a productive tight end. But I like the note you put on here. It needs to improve blocking. That was definitely something I saw from washing his tape. I took his tape and I just washed it for him.
He's like, you better block better.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He missed a lot of blocking opportunities that caused Baker Mayfield to either get sacked or have to run around to use his wheels a little bit. So if he's going to make it in the NFL, he definitely has to improve that. But I like what I saw from as far as route running and his catching ability. What do you think that kind of stands out about Mark?
I think Mark Andrews is even. I have him ranked at 3, but I think he's better than what his tape showed at Oklahoma, because a lot of what Oklahoma's offense was that incredibly stout offensive line for one, and then Baker Mayfield, like you said, scrambling and making plays. And I think Mark Andrews will be more of he's a decent route runner. I think he's going to be more of this is where I need to be at this time. I'm going to get the ball at this time.
Yeah,
I know I have a reliable quarterback in the NFL that can get me the ball at this time. So I don't think there's going to be that much running around like Baker Mayfield did. So I think Mark Andrews is a little better in that regard. So that's why I get him compared to Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry, I went back and forth between comparing him to Hunter Henry and Evan Ingram. I think both of those are good comparisons, but if you take away the blocking from Hunter Henry and Evan Ingram, you basically have Mark Andrews.
Mark Ingram?
Mark Ingram, yes. You have Mark Ingram. Speaking of Mark Ingram, did you see the video of him and the police dog?
No.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know what he was doing. It was, I guess, for some volunteer charity thing, but they were doing, or he was like in one of those like big, heavy padded suits and like getting chased by the police dog and getting bit. So he does it like twice. And he's just standing still, and he's just holding his arm out, and it bites him, and he can hold it up, obviously. He's a football player. He's a football running back, starting NFL running back.
Yeah.
And then the third time, they're like, okay, now I want you to run from him. And then he like looks over to the crowd, and he's like, okay, I'm going to juke him out this time. So he tries to juke him out, and the dog grabs his arm and literally like helicopters him, like slings him around. Like, just,
wow.
Like, completely airborne. It was so funny.
Wow.
But,
I'll have to look that up.
Dude, that's crazy. Those dogs can do that.
Yeah, that's wild.
We have a wiener dog, and I'm going to train it. I'm going to train it to do that.
I've never seen a police wiener dog.
Well, this will be the first. They can get into tight spaces and really find the guys that are
fast.
Yeah, find the guys that are hiding. We are getting way off track. Okay, Hunter Henry, yeah. So, basically, Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, and Evan Ingram in the fact that his receiving ability, his route running, he's quick and good size, 6'5", 256, as you mentioned before. But, yeah, definitely needs to work on the blocking to be up to those caliber tight ends.
Yep.
All right, number 4 on our list, Mike Gesicki from Penn State University, 6'5", 242, ran a 4.54, by
quick.
far the fastest tight end 40 time. In 2017, finished with 57 receptions, only 563 yards, but 9 touchdowns. So really wasn't that great on the stats sheet. He was heavily used in the red zone. We saw that with the 9 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. I think he could be a huge mismatch in the NFL with his size and surprising speed. So I think he's more of honestly, closer to like a receiver than he is a tight end, because the guy can't block whatsoever.
I would compare him to, in that regard, to Evan Ingram. Because, he's not known for his blocking skills, but he pretty much was a wide receiver.
But he can. He can.
Yeah, he was. He was known for his receiving skills on the Giants this past year, especially with all the injuries that they had.
Yeah, and in a lot of situations, they lined him up as a receiver in some sets. But he's definitely, he's got size to him. He's 6'5", 242, as I mentioned, but and him being that quick, it's just, I don't know what it is. He doesn't use his size, maybe, like his physicality. I like the speed, which is why I have him at number 4.
Right.
Speed at a tight end,
that was the
and at that size.
Point for me.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. But yeah,
awful. So you can get onto
a blocker,
solid situation on an NFL team, and they can develop that talent into something pretty special. If he's already running a 4.54 and he's 6'5".
Yeah, that's incredible. That's why I got him compared to Kobe Fleener.
Oh, yeah.
Not a good blocker whatsoever.
No.
Andy, I wrote down for Gesicki, has some trouble with drops. Kobe Fleener has that as well. But Kobe Fleener, he's a big guy. He's decently fast. I think Gesicki is going to be faster than Kobe Fleener is. But I think those are pretty closely related in terms of what they can do in the football field.
Yep, I agree. So coming in next at number 5, Troy Fumagalli.
Fumagalli. Arrivederci.
Yeah. There's all kinds of just names that I just want to say right now, but there's not enough time. From Wisconsin, so he's a Badger.
He's a Badger, all right.
I knew Brandon was going to be excited to put him on the list. He's 6'4", 247. So weight comparison to Mike Gesicki. He ran a 40 time of 4.75, so pretty solid. Whenever I watched him, he does everything pretty well. He's one of the more well-rounded tight ends that we've talked about so far. I don't think he has the most talent, which is why he's at number 5 and not number 1.
I think like we had throughout our top 10 at our tight end positions, we had a few flip-flop here and there, but number 5 we both had Troy Fumagalli, because you can't really put him. It's like like you said, he's so well-rounded. You can't put him too far up in the top 10. You can't put him too far away. So 5, I think, is a perfect spot for Troy Fumagalli.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it'd be. It's going to be a mistake for people to overlook, the fact that he does do everything pretty well, and I think he can develop into a solid NFL tight end. He's super athletic. He has great hands. Actually, a good route runner. I would actually say that he's better than a lot of the top 5 in terms of route running.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the things that stood out to me. He can actually block, so that's good.
Yeah, you need that from a tight end.
Yeah, you definitely need to. And some of the things and one of the things that may hold NFL teams back from drafting him high could be injuries. He's racked up a few in his time at Wisconsin. But, I don't think there's a lot of things that really pop out at me, like he's really good at this, really good at that. I just think that he is one of the most well-rounded players that we'll talk about.
He's solid and trustworthy.
Yeah.
Kind of like Cameron Brate.
Make Cameron Brate.
I knew you'd like that one. Cameron Brate doesn't really do much spectacular things in terms of just catching the ball. He can. He's got really good hands.
Yep.
And he's reliable, which I think Troy Fumagalli can easily be that. And Brate's a good blocker. That's obviously what held O.J. Howard back a little bit from really taken over the tight end position for the Buccaneers was that Cameron Brate was such a good blocker. And Troy Fumagalli, I think, is probably going to start out that way before he starts becoming like a fantasy relevant tight end or a superstar athlete over the middle of the field. But
kind of similar to O.J. Howard. Because O.J. Howard's a really, really good blocker.
Yeah, fantastic.
And I think that going forward, he's going to be an incredible tight end. But we just saw this past year that he showed signs of greatness, but just kind of held back and is still developing. And it could be the same situation for old Troy.
Troy Fumagalli. All right, number 6, Dalton Schultz from Stanford University. Height, 6 foot, 244, ran a 4.75. Most of these tight ends are running about 4.75, 4.76, around that area. Obviously, not everyone's going to be Mike Gesicki running 4.54, but Dalton Schultz had a solid combine. This is where I think he's close to Troy Fumagalli in the fact that he's very, very well-rounded. And he's kind of flying under the radar at this point because he doesn't have the, I wouldn't say pedigree, but just the namesake that Troy Fumagalli has, being at Wisconsin and being in bowl games. And Fumagalli's got a lot of recognition. And even the past couple of years, they thought Fumagalli was going to be the number one guy in this class. If it wasn't for guys like Dallas Goedert and Hurst and Andrews coming up, then we probably would have had Fumagalli even higher. But Dalton Schultz is very, very well-rounded. Like Fumagalli, just flying under the radar. Good route running. Hands are great.
Hands is great.
Hands is great. Hands is great. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Fantastic blocker. I think he's just a little underdeveloped at this point in his career. I think an NFL team will be able to take him and really, really harness what he can do. So at the moment, I got him compared. Again, this is probably a little more upside than it should be. But Jason Witten, just a well-rounded guy who didn't really start out on top of the world with the Cowboys. He got his quarterback, and then he started developing into what we know today, just a reliable guy who catches close to, 100 receptions each and every year. Oh, yeah. So Dalton Schultz, I think can be that guy because he's just his availability as a blocker and the fact that he can catch the ball in most situations. I think Dalton Schultz can be a very, very solid tight end. Maybe not so much for fantasy. Again, I think there's only maybe 2 or 3 guys in this class that'll really take that leap in fantasy.
And the fact of the matter is most rookie tight ends don't.
Yeah, it's hard for rookie tight ends a lot of times. Obviously, we're not having classes like last year every single year. But, Dalton Schultz, definitely a solid guy.
Yep, I like it. Coming in at number 7 is Durham Smythe.
The Durham Smythe. It sounds like an award you'd get. The Durham Smythe Award.
Yeah, that's one more interesting name.
Maybe he'll be on the trophy one day. Maybe this is the guy we're overlooking. He's got the name to be on a trophy.
Yeah, he's got the name for it. He's from Notre Dame, 6'5", 253, so one of the bigger tight ends that we've talked about. 40 time reflects that. He's a little bit on the slower side of 4.81. Still not bad for a tight end. That's still not blazing, but it's not snail pace either. But the fact of the matter is, he is for the most part a blocking tight end. I couldn't find a lot of catching videos or anything like that.
Literally, most of the tape you watch on Durham Smythe is. Obviously, when you watch tape, usually if you watch some decent or some of the tape that is available, they'll circle the player that the tape is on, and his was just run play after run play after run play, just watching him block. But
but he did it well.
Yeah, oh no, he's fantastic. He plays like a lineman, and he's honestly, kind of built like a lineman.
Yeah,
and in that way, he really, really hasn't developed as a receiver whatsoever. He hasn't really had help in that regard either. He hasn't had a solid quarterback. He had Deshaun Kaiser there for a little bit, and he was able to flash a little bit of his receiving ability, but he is super, super underdeveloped in that regard.
Yep.
I will say the fact that he has been a blocker and gotten in the mix there, he's very, very physical.
Yep.
Which could be beneficial once he starts learning how to play the tight end position in the NFL and starting to catch the ball down the field. Being physical can really help with that. But again, just so many red flags when it comes to him. If people want him to be a receiver, a receiving tight end, just the route running's awful. The hands are mediocre. His awareness over the field, just it's not good right now. The only reason I have him so high, and we have him so high, I think, is his size and his physicality. And that could be a good thing too. We've seen guys like Virgil Green. He's just a blocker. We've seen guys like that, and he is so much smaller than Durham Smythe.
Yeah.
So I think Durham Smythe could really develop into at least a somewhat decent tight end. I got him compared to Dwayne Allen at the moment. Mainly a blocker until you get in the red zone, which I think that's where Durham Smythe is really going to start his receiving production, is in the red zone. I don't see him catching any balls over the middle of the field whatsoever. I don't think he's going to be help within the 20s other than a blocking tight end. But once they get in the red zone, I think they can use him just sheer size alone. Get some one-on-one matchups, just brute force to get in the end zone.
Yep, I agree. The next guy we got on the list is, coming in at number 8, Ian Thomas from the great state of Indiana.
The great state. It's so great.
It's the best.
Just cornfields and windmills for days.
Yeah, I don't miss that drive.
Wheat fields, I should say.
Yeah. He is 6'3", 256. So one of the shorter ones that we've talked about, but still good size for a tight end. 40 time was 4.74, so not bad. Kind of middle of the pack in terms of the other guys that we were talking about. He's pretty quick, pretty athletic. He does have good route running. That's something that I thought was one of his highlights. You said ball tracking ability. I thought that was good. The ability to kind of get underneath balls that are thrown his way. That's
when I was watching his tape, because again, you said the route running, and he's not really like blazing speed, but he's quick. No. He's quick first step, good separation on the first step, which is odd for a tight end. He kind of plays like a receiver, but his ball tracking ability, my word, James Washington is obviously the guy in our wide receiver rankings I was raving about for ball tracking ability. Yeah. Ian Thomas might give him a run for his money. This guy can really, really just position himself in really, really good ways to make the catch and not really have to contest for a catch either. It's like boxing him out, and just the timing of everything it's so good. But Ian Thomas needs to work on blocking a little bit, as do a lot of these lower end tight ends. But it's bless you. But no, it seems like all these guys in the lower tier, it's either they're purely a receiver or they're purely a blocker. At the tight end position, there's not many. That's why the guys that are so well rounded, they might not be spectacular, like the Fumagalis and the Schultzes. They might not be spectacular at one aspect, but they're really well rounded, and that's why they're so high. Now, if these guys can develop, they can easily, I think, overtake some of those guys. But Ian Thomas right now, I got him compared to George Kittle. Kittle needs to work on his blocking as well. I think Kittle's a little bigger than Ian Thomas at the moment, but they're decently quick. Incredible route running. Incredible. Ball tracking ability, honestly, I'm not 100% sure about that with George Kittle, because he really hasn't had many opportunities where it's like jump balls for him and things like that. But it was a lot of down and outs for Kittle. But Ian Thomas, I think, could fall right in line with what George Kittle has done his first year as a tight end. Again, it's just about the right fit and how teams are going to use these guys.
Yep, I agree.
All right, number 9, Jordan Akins from Central Florida, UCF. Not the national champions, by the way. Height 6'3", 249, so same height as Thomas, little on the leaner side. Ran a 4.48. 4.48. This is the guy that is probably built more like a receiver than anything else. And it really, really, really shows on tape. His blocking is atrocious. It's not even up to par with a lot of receivers in the NFL at the moment, and even a lot of running backs at the moment. It's that bad. It's like he doesn't even know what's going on around him when a run play is happening, or if he's just selected a block in terms of pass blocking. But like Hayden Hurst, he will be an old rookie. He will be 26, actually. I can't remember exactly why. I don't know if he played baseball as well or something. Jordan Akins, honestly, he might have been in like the military or something like that. But anyway, Jordan Akins, going to be on the older side. He's got decent size, but the main thing he does is use his speed, his quickness over the middle of the field to separate from defenders. He is purely a receiver at this point. No blocking talent whatsoever. Obviously, he's going to have to learn how to do that if he's going to be a tight end in the NFL. Honestly,
yeah.
Do you think maybe one of these teams could look at him and be like, hey, we want you to play a slot receiver type of role, more like a Jordan Matthews type of role? He's a little bit bigger. Maybe he needs to slim down some, but we know he's fast. He's got decent hands. But yeah, I don't see him.
I think they could. I mean, yeah, he definitely have to slim down. I mean, 249 is not the ideal weight for one of like a wide receiver position. But I think he could easily be moved around a little bit and find some success there, if that's what whatever NFL team drafts him, if that's what they want.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. When I watch tape on Atkins, it's like he doesn't even want to block. Like it's like he's what are they, matadors? Yeah, he's like dodging the bull rush. It's bizarre, but I mean he's got talent to be a receiver.
Yeah,
and that's what a lot of teams are going to look for when they're looking at Atkins. So I got him compared to Jared Cook.
Yeah,
not known as a blocker at all, just known as a pretty quick tight end. He's got a very, very good presence over the middle of the field. And he's got decent hands, so I think that's that. Again, I think that's probably upside, but Jared Cook is probably the most comparable in my eyes.
Yeah, well, he is on the national championship football team, so. Coming in last, but certainly not least, Jordan Ryan Izzo from FSU, 6'5", 256. 40 time of 4.94, which is almost buckets on the feet slow.
Almost. He is a monster of a person, though.
Yeah.
Monster.
He's a big guy.
He looks bigger on just looking at him on tape. He looks bigger than 6'5", 256. He looks like an animal.
yeah, which that's definitely a quality that could play to his abilities if he can harness that size to be a solid NFL tight end. But with that size and speed comes a blocking tight end. But he could, I think he could develop, and I think that he has a lot of upside. It's just going to be the team that he goes to. If he's drafted to be a blocking tight end, then he's always going to be a blocking tight end. And I think that has a lot to, I think that's going to be, it's just going to depend on where he goes and what the team wants to do with him. I think it's kind of hard for me to tell where he's going to actually end up, like in terms of his career, because I feel like he has a lot of potential, but I'm just afraid that he's just going to be a perpetual blocking tight end, which isn't bad. I mean, teams need that, but for fantasy, I'm afraid he's going to be pretty irrelevant. Yeah,
I think he'll be. Who I have him compared to is probably a bit generous when it comes to fantasy, because I think he's probably his production's probably going to be more along the lines of like Levi Toilolo, just big guy, red zone target, maybe gets 2 touchdowns a year.
Yeah.
But, Izzo, again, his size alone, I will say in his college career, the fact that he had, especially this past year, he had his quarterback go down in the first game. He didn't really have a solid quarterback his entire career at FSU. So I think that could be maybe, I wouldn't say, I don't know. It's still hard to gauge because you haven't seen the tape of him catching the ball that much. But I think he could develop, as you said, into a decent tight end, catching the ball with his 6'5", 256 frame. So I got him compared to Jordan Cameron. Yeah. Pretty identical in size. I think Cameron's a little more light on his feet than Izzo is. But I think they could be just really, really good in-zone, red zone guys, just physicality. And again, blocking tight ends, I mean, they're used pretty well, or pretty frequently as well. So Izzo is definitely going to find a landing spot somewhere just for his sheer size.
Yeah.
All right. A few honorable mentions. So that's our top 10. If I'll go back through the top 10 real quick. We had, well, if I can get the paper situated. Dallas Goedert at number 1, Hayden Hurst, then Mark Andrews, Mike Gesicki, Troy Fumagalli, Dalton Schultz, Durham Smythe, Ian Thomas, Jordan Akins, and Ryan Izzo. So, that we're done with the top 10s, or our top 10 prospects. We did obviously go back and listen to our QBs, running backs, wide receivers. Those are probably more exciting episodes because tight ends might not be the most glamorous to talk about. But at some point, if you follow us on Twitter at the423football, we will post our top 10s for each position. Again, that's quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. We're not dipping into defensive players in our rankings because this is still primarily a fantasy football show.
Yep.
But again, once we get when we do our mock draft next week, obviously we're going to be talking about a few defensive players. But that's probably the most defensive talk we'll have all year. But anyway, a few honorable mentions: Chris Herndon from Miami, Will Dissly from Washington, Marcus Baugh, who I kind of like Marcus Baugh quite a bit from Ohio State University. I saw some decent tape on him. One of the more well-rounded guys in this class. Maybe not that exciting, but well-rounded. Adam Brenneman from UMass. Really, really like him. I'll talk about him here in a second. Ethan Wolf from University of Tennessee.
Yep.
Just up the road. And then Jordan Thomas from Mississippi State. I mean, we can go on and on, but those are just a few honorable mentions that almost made our top 10, but didn't quite exactly.
Nope.
No, but who do you have as your favorite late round tight end out of this class? And again, we should have said where all these guys were projected to go.
Yeah.
Honestly, late round is probably most of these guys.
Yeah.
Maybe Goddard or Hurst or Andrews slips into the first or second round, but most of these guys are probably going to go third, fourth round and later.
Yeah, and that's why, a favorite late rounder, mine's Ian Thomas from Indiana. Even though he made it to number 8 on our tight end list, that certainly doesn't mean he's going to be drafted early.
No, not at all.
But I like how, we were talking about his ball tracking ability, and I just think he has fantastic route running, and I think that that would be a really great asset for an NFL team, and especially for the potential for fantasy production if he can continue what he did in college or how he looked on tape in college into the NFL. I think that he would be kind of a late round gem.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with that. I was going back and forth between him and Dalton Schultz there for a while, but I actually landed on Adam Brenneman from UMass.
Very late round.
Yes, very late round. He's a big guy. He's kind of built like a basketball player. I think he's flying under the radar. I think he could easily jump one of these guys like a Ryan Izzo or a Jordan Akins that are primarily one-trick ponies. One-track ponies. They do not vary from the track they are on. But no, one-trick ponies. And I think Adam Brenneman can really just be physical enough to be a red zone weapon and a decent blocker as well. I'm trying to think of who I'd compare him to. Honestly, the upside, I think, could be like Tyler Eifert. I think he could be a big guy over the middle of the field. He does, again, kind of like Eifert, has a few injury concerns, but I don't think that's too much to worry about, especially if you're blowing a 7th-round pick on the guy. You're not going to be... The draft capital is really not going to be that damaging. So, yeah, Adam Brenneman for me and Ian Thomas for Brett. Now, which tight end do you think will make the biggest fantasy impact in 2018? And give me a team that they would be a good fit with as well. Because, obviously, again, fit is a major element to deciding a rookie's future.
Yeah. I think whoever the Ravens drafts, I think the Ravens are going to have to draft one of these top tight ends. I think whoever they go to, I think that's a really good situation where you don't have much competition for the tight end position. You know, you've got a decent offense. They look better. You know, they're getting the run game down. Joe Flacco, whatever. But, you know, you got to think Goddard's going to have the biggest, fantasy impact.
Definitely.
If I had to pick another one besides, taking the easy cop out and picking our number one, our unanimous number one, I'd probably go with Gesicki. I think that he, with his speed and size, I think that's. I mean, if you can develop that talent into, he's an awful blocker. But if we're talking about fantasy production, then you don't really need him to block. Other than that, gets him more snaps, and he can be on the field for more percent or higher percentage of the time.
Yes.
But it's hard for me to go away from Goddard.
Yeah. Goddard's definitely my number one pick for that as well. Again, if I had to pick another, probably Hurst, just because a lot of teams seem hype on him right now. They really, really like him, and if people like you, they're probably going to use you, especially if you're taken in the 2nd or 3rd round. So if a team likes you enough, you're going to get on the field. You're going to get receptions at some point. You're going to get looks, targets, everything like that. Yeah. So,
do you think there's another team that would be a better fit for Goddard than the Ravens?
Yes, just because I don't think that offense is very good. I don't think Flacco's that great. I
don't think that.
I think the Falcons would be pretty good. Seahawks, I think, would be. Honestly, yeah, I'd probably put the Seahawks at the top of that list.
I don't think I would put the Falcons near the top. I just think that they're pretty committed to Austin Hooper. He's not great, but he did solid for him last year.
Yeah,
I can't really see a rookie coming in and taking his job.
I don't know. It's hard to.
I do like the Seahawks. Though.
Yeah, Seahawks would probably be the best because they don't really have a tight end whatsoever. Broncos wouldn't be terrible.
No,
with Case Keenum now. Dolphins, I think, would be awful just because their quarterback situation, they don't really know.
That's why I was going to go with the Dolphins, just based on like whoever they draft. If they draft a tight end high, then they're going to be a starter and they're going to get targets. But you're talking about targets from who knows who. Yeah,
Tannehill question mark.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, so no.
Yeah, Texans.
No fantasy production.
Texans would be really, really nice on paper, but I don't think Deshaun Watson really looks to tight ends that much. No. I don't think that's going to be that great of a situation for tight ends, but they have a gaping hole. But anyway.
Yep.
All right, that's going to be all for our tight ends, tight end talk. So just an update on our giveaway. Again, it's the Leveon Bell signed jersey giveaway. We have reached 100 followers and 100 retweets. We have reached that threshold, but we will not officially present a winner until after the NFL draft. So after the NFL draft, we'll randomly select them, and then that week after, we will announce the ultimate winner of this awesome Leveon Bell signed jersey.
The Leveon Bell.
The Leveon Bell. The one and only.
Running back, y'all.
And again, to enter the giveaway, all you have to do is follow us on Twitter at the423football and retweet the giveaway tweet. So, next week we will be back for, I'm hoping we're either going to do a mock draft where it's our consensus mock draft and we're going to sit down and we're gonna plan. We're basically gonna be like the GM of like every team, and we're gonna.
I'd take that job.
Yeah, I
GM
would too.
of all teams.
This is our resume right now. Our application we are applying, but yeah, we're either gonna do that or we're gonna do 2 separate mock drafts over the next 2 weeks, where it's mine 1 week and then Brett's 1 week, and we'll break them all down. But again, we're going to have to be going through. We're just going to do the first rounds. We're going to go through 32 picks, so we're going to try to make it as brief as possible.
Yeah.
32 picks is a lot, so we might not give you that many explanations, and especially for the offensive players. If you want to know our takes on the offensive players, obviously go and listen to all of our prospect episodes, our QB, running back, wide receiver, and then this one, obviously, if you want to re-listen to this after the mock draft. So, yeah, that is going to be all for today.
Yep.
Obviously, Masters is over. Patrick Reed's won. We've been watching baseball, watched a perfect game be ruined by
Brandon.
By me. Sorry. Never ever watch a perfect game, because it'll always break your heart. But anyway.
First batter, man.
First batter. So follow us on Twitter at the423football. Make sure you like us on Facebook. Subscribe on Apple Podcast, Google Play, and YouTube. Give us a like, leave your comments and reviews. Thanks for listening. We are the 423 Football Podcast.
Peace out.